Hi, I'm AJ Marks.
And I'm Megan Soliginto.
And you're listening to Vroom Vroom, an episode of American Idiots Abroad.
Vroom.
Welcome to American Idiots Abroad,
A podcast you're currently listening to because you understand English, but you don't understand
this kind of English.
or because you do understand,
this kind of English.
but you don't understand this kind of English.
Nice.
I love that.
I hate myself for that.
No, never.
I'm sorry, all Bostonians. I've sold out to make Megan laugh.
It brings me joy. On this podcast, we discover what makes us uniquely American by analyzing the differences and similarities between the US and the UK, with a little help from a special guest or guests each episode.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I moved here first as a student in 2016 and now for work. And now I live in Liverpool.
Dope.
It is dope.
It is dope. I'm from San Jose, which is the biggest city in Silicon Valley, California. And I first moved to Liverpool roughly 5 years ago, first as a student and now for work. And now I live in Manchester, the land of bees and Manx.
No, it really is the land of
The
bees.
land of bees.
Can I just interject and get you to say Massachusetts again?
Massachusetts.
That's crazy.
What?
Why?
There's so many less S's than I expected.
Massachusetts.
The way, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you say it?
Massachusetts.
So today's guests are two people that we've wanted to have on for a really long time now. They are...
Have we?
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. We mentioned them
I
in
mean,
the
I
second
can go
episode.
if you want, AJ.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's like it's no sweat off my back, man. Like,
Nah, this episode's been like years in the making, so.
Literally. You were the first shout out on American Idiots Abroad.
True. We do a lot of shout outs
Yeah,
on
we do
this
a lot of
podcast.
shout outs.
We should get to their names.
Yes. So today's guests are none other than Casa, or as they say, Casa.
Guests, can you please state your name, age, location, sex,
And what you like to do for fun.
and what you like to do in the bedroom?
Hi, my name is James Amos, and that's what you're getting out of me.
He loves a gimp suit.
I'm from a small village called Eastling in Kent. I'm a videographer for Black Star Amplification and a freelance sound engineer and some other things too. I make like artwork and stuff. I work in the music industry.
That got more and more vague. I love it.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
It got less and less clear over time. So we have another guest. He's not in person with us, unfortunately.
hi, my name is Freddy Williams, and 23 years old. I'm a sound engineer and co-founder of Casa with James, and currently I'm working as an in-house engineer at Angelic Recording Studios. I'm from a little hamlet called Cockadilly in Gloucestershire.
Wow, that is
Yep.
the most English sentence.
Cockadilly?
Yeah,
I'm
Cockadilly.
I'm from a little hamlet in Cockadilly.
Gloucestershire.
Yeah,
Not even Gloucester, but
have been more
Gloucestershire.
English. That could not have been more English.
He's via Zoom. He's zooming in today for a podcast all about Zooms.
Oh no!
I know.
Oh wow, that was class. That's a pretty good segue. That one, like, I'm not gonna lie.
Today's episode is all about the many forms of transportation that you can take in the gorgeous land of Britannia.
Our episode is about cars that go vroom vroom. This episode is specifically about British transport because our guests have never driven in the US and neither has Megan. So there are like so many differences, I don't know where to begin.
What side of the road you're going forwards and backwards on?
Yeah, that's like the biggest one. Let's get into that.
Yeah, let's dive straight
Let's
in.
interview. So,
The correct side is the answer to that one.
Yes.
quite literally not the right side.
Exactly. Hence why I said correct side.
Yes, he was very specific with his wording there.
So we drive on the right side and you drive on the correct side.
Exactly.
I was thinking on the whole, like, why we might drive on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be because, like, when cars were introduced, because we've had cars since like the 19th century,
I think so.
most people would have been right-handed. So it would make sense to have the car on the right, like the driver's seat on the right, and then being positioned on the left so you can see oncoming traffic. Much easier.
I think that logic works.
Most of the world drives on the right side.
Yeah, we are a bit
Yeah.
abnormal,
this
yeah.
is true.
But
Yeah.
isn't it like 4 countries in the world?
And they're all like former colonies.
Out of all the lands that you colonized, only 4 drive on the side of the road.
4 of them said, all right, we'll take it.
Yeah, 4 of them were like, we're too traditional to change this. And everyone else was like, fuck this.
Although I do hear that India just kind of goes whatever side, whenever.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, you can, okay, so this is another thing. You can park here facing any direction you want.
Yeah, and on either side of the road. You can just cut across and just park on the opposite side.
It's kind of taboo. Like cutting across the other side of the road to park is like, you only really do it if there's no one really like around.
But the fact that you can do it.
And walking down the street, you will see cars just like going all which way.
We don't have a lot of space here. So whenever you see a spot, you just take it.
It seems dangerous. Yeah. It seems like there's going to be a lot of there's a lot of room for error there, you know?
So is that illegal in America?
Yes, from my understanding.
And they enforce it too. So if you get caught doing it, you're going to get like a fine,
because it's super obvious.
Yeah,
if
super obvious. Everyone is facing one way and you're facing the other way.
Are they stationed on every street?
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a police state right now, so. Yeah. American Idiots Abroad is a politics-free podcast. And after a little disagreement, we are back.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the driving left, right. So I have no idea why we drive on the left side of the road, but my brain immediately goes to being closer to the other side of the traffic, so it's a little bit safer. Because we drive on the right side of our cars, but the left side of the road, which means that drivers are close to the opposite side of the road, i.e. they know where the edge of the road is, so they won't hit oncoming cars. You know what I mean? I know that you guys don't.
It's the same in the US though, because you're on the right hand side, but then the driver's seat's on the left. Oh. And it's the same in continental Europe as well. Like when we're going around Romania, you then got to drive a geared car with the gear stick in your right hand. It's really weird.
But why is it weird then? Why do people find it weird if it's just the same thing, just mirrored, and it actually doesn't make a difference?
Well, the sensation of being in what we would normally think of as the driver's seat in the US, so the left seat of a car, and then driving on just the other side of the road. And
have you ever driven in this country?
I've not driven in any country ever.
Is it not? Again, it's the same in the inverse. So it feels weird when we go to continental Europe and have to drive on the right side.
So it just feels weird. It feels strange. So when you merge onto the motorway and the fear,
it's scary.
The fear in your stomach, you go, oh God.
Yeah, you feel like you're gonna crash.
Yeah, I remember the first time I came here and that sensation of getting on the motorway and just gripping the seat.
Well, let's explain to our American listeners what the motorway is.
Yes.
Right.
So to our Americans, we say freeway or highway.
Can you explain to me why freeway and highway? What do the terms mean?
Oh, that's the same thing.
We like freedom because we America.
Okay.
And
you also like getting high because America.
We're taking the high road because genocide for religious freedom.
Again.
The absence of politics in this episode is brought to you by Casa Liverpool. And we're back again.
What is it about why highway? Why is it called highway?
I don't know. And we're done.
Amazing.
I want to Google it.
Yeah, listeners, we're Googling it for you.
Freeway was coined when California constructed toll-free, limited-access high-speed highways. Prior to that time, high-speed highways were toll roads, such as the Pennsylvania Turnpike that opened in 1940.
So it's high speed. That's why it's highway.
Yes,
and it's
free.
Way.
It was a toll-free road.
That makes sense.
Well, there you fucking
Equally
go.
as literal as motorway.
So apparently, the etymology of motorway is motor plus way.
See, we love to keep it simple.
Sounds about right.
We love to keep it simple.
You guys give us
keep it literal.
You guys give us so much shit for ours.
That's so true.
For what?
For when we have literal things, but then when you guys go literal, you go, keep it simple.
Yeah, but sidewalk. Come on.
Yeah.
Motorway.
And I also think sidewalk, everybody already knew that the word pavement existed. You just chose to simplify it.
But pavement is a different thing.
Yeah, pavement's a different thing for us.
We're just adding more words.
What's pavement to you?
Pavement would be a literal type of concrete that you put down.
So you can have a parking lot and it's all pavement. So I skin my knee on the pavement.
Yeah, whereas the sidewalk is just any kind of side walkway.
So that's interesting because here if you were to go down, say, like maybe a more rural area and you had a road that didn't have a pavement, i.e. it didn't have like a concreted section to walk on, but it had a designated area to walk that might just be like literally a trodden on path where the grass has been cleared through people walking on it, that would be like a footpath, but not a pavement because it hasn't been paved.
But what about cobblestone pavements?
Still a pavement, I think, because it's been it's like you've paved the way or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But we can all agree on road, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about gasoline?
Gasoline is like the broad term for it because we have like petrol and diesel cars. So like you wouldn't just say gasoline because then it would be there like, okay, well, am I using petrol? Am I using diesel?
Yeah, this is interesting. So you would go to a gas station to get gas for your car, and gas is short for gasoline. So we'd be like, oh, I got to get gas. But we wouldn't say specifically, oh, I got to get diesel or I got to get petrol. We would say, oh, I got to get gas, and we would know which one our car would need.
It would be kind of like if we were going to get some groceries and like Americans would just say milk, like I'm just going to go get milk. But Brits say specifically like, I'm going to go get some 1%. It would be like that. I'm not saying that Brits do that. I'm just making a comparison.
So I think usually Brits would say that I need to go fill up or I need to go to the petrol station. They wouldn't actually specify or get fuel.
Oh, we would say fuel.
Get some fuel.
I don't often hear people say, I need to go get diesel. That's not a common phrase.
Do they sell diesel at the petrol station?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
But people will say like, I need to go get some petrol.
But they're getting diesel?
But they're getting diesel.
Oh, so you're just wrong?
Yeah.
Well,
so more specific but less correct.
Yeah.
Sounds about
more
right.
specifically inaccurate. Yeah.
Sounds about sounds
exactly.
very British.
So let's take a short break because I am sick of y'all and I need a beer.
Yes, and we need some beats. Some big beats.
Oh yeah.
I only show up for big beats.
Well, have I got the perfect beat for you?
What's the big old beat?
So this is Runthorn by a lovely band called TUCAN.
Longtime listeners of the pod will remember TUCAN as our first guests ever on this podcast.
Right.
Yes.
It's a great band. They're made up of multi-instrumentalists from all corners of the globe. It's great. And it's a bit of jazz. Can't go wrong. This one is particularly heavy, mixed by myself, but recorded by Freddy and me.
This is Runthorn by TUCAN. Gripe. Okay.
Go on.
So, or not, it's not a gripe. So, for our American listeners, this country has been mid-transition from the imperial system to the metric system for like 40, 50 years.
This country being the UK.
There are certain things that have yet to transition. So, for example, British people will still measure their height in feet and inches. And football talks about yards, yada, yada. And one thing that's very confusing is the way that it has affected how people buy gasoline and like their cars and stuff. So cars are built miles per gallon, and yet they buy their petrol by the liter. And that's so confusing. How do you know how much you need when your cars take gallons, but you buy it in liters? You have to, are you constantly converting?
Never.
Not doing either.
Never. Just honestly, don't give a shit about it. I'm just there, like, put it in, and then when I need to refill, I refill. It's like, but I do agree, it is really weird that we are kind of stuck halfway in between and just pick and choose depending on what it is. Because I might say that something's like 20 feet away, and then the next day I'll say that it's like 8 meters.
I think it's, exactly. I think it's what you grew up with or what you feel comfortable with.
But also because we don't have to travel as long distances. Like, we don't have to care as much about how much fuel we have and how many miles that's going to give us.
That's
because
very true.
Realistically, if you fill up your tank, like, you could drive to Scotland.
Yeah.
So, like, from like the south of England, you could probably do about 500 miles in a good car.
Yep.
So I think because we don't have to think about it in that way, then it's just not anything that anyone ever notices.
So while we're talking about money, monetary value when it comes to transportation, cars here are so much fucking cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
You can buy
Really?
a car
Sure
for
about
like,
that?
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure, but it feels right.
No, it is so correct. It is so correct to the point where my parents keep begging me to buy a car here because they're like, it's only like a couple thousand.
The way that it kind of evens out is that insurance here is incredibly expensive. So like being able to drive that's why British people tend to get little black boxes.
Yeah, like I have a friend whose mother will lease cars because that's actually cheaper than buying a car and paying for insurance.
Yeah, my mum does that. My mum leases her car. Has done her last few cars. It's definitely cheaper here.
My mom has been leasing her car and I think she's buying it now. But I think that's becoming a more like fiscally responsible way to get a new car in the US, but I'm not exactly sure. It might just be because of where we're from and everything's just fucking expensive.
Yeah, on the pricing of cars, what did you say? A couple £1,000 for a
Yeah,
$1,000 for
I know people who have gotten like a car for £1,000 and it's like a working car.
If you bought a car for like $1,000, it would have like no windows. It would be you'd have to jump it every like 3 weeks or something, you know, like.
Well, I was going to say, like, most 17, 18, 19-year-olds will drive a 400, 500-pound car for their first car.
Yeah, and it is a piece of shit.
And it's
Like mine
exactly.
was a piece of shit. Like the exhaust fell off when I was parked.
Yeah.
Like the handbrake cable snapped while it wasn't on.
That's some in-betweener shit.
Oh yeah.
And you're right, though, because the insurance is, especially, right, okay, talk about young white males, the insurance is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
And it's because the stats do add up. Most young males will crash their car. And I did.
So did I.
Most like teens or people who've just passed, if they don't have a parent to buy them a Fiat 500, will get like a £400 car and you have to spend $2,000 on insurance for a year. So you get a black box and maybe you only have to spend $1,500, and then the next year it's down to £1,000 without the black box maybe. And then
Can you explain what the black box is, by the way, to listeners?
sure, a black box is something that you install into your car so that your insurers can keep track of your driving. Literally how fast you drive, how soon and how hard you brake.
And where it's parked.
Where it's parked and when you're driving. If you drive the speed limit, don't brake too hard or brake reasonably. I can't remember what their kind of guidelines for that is, but if you do that and you don't drive past your curfew, most of them will give you like you can drive between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you tick all those boxes for however many months, then your price just drops.
The amount of fucking roundabouts that you guys have.
Oh, see, roundabouts are so good.
No.
Yeah.
They just work so much better than a four-way stop sign. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
go watch the Mythbusters episode about it.
They have a lot of roundabouts in New England comparatively to Western US. It's because we're older.
Yeah.
I can think of one roundabout that I've ever seen in California.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
No, it's weird. A village near me has the only roundabout in the UK in which you don't need to follow the right of way.
What?
Oh, how? Why? How?
So it's made around a small war memorial in the middle of the village.
Right.
And it's basically like there is a road and it's slightly on the edge of that road and you only really go round the roundabout if someone's coming at you the other way.
Okay.
So it's like avoiding a bottleneck rather than using it as an actual traffic filtration system.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Had no idea.
Fascinating.
That's really fascinating. We have multi-roundabouts. So
The magic roundabout in Swindon.
yeah.
Fuck that. There are 6 roundabouts. Like, it's ridiculous. So you've got one big roundabout and then 6 different 5 other mini roundabouts around it.
Wait, like connecting to it?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to join you have
Well,
to
don't
go
you get dizzy?
You have to go through a
Depends
mini
which-
roundabout to get to the big roundabout, and then to get off the big roundabout, you have to go around another mini roundabout.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that stressful?
This is a ride at Six Flags.
Yeah,
I swear.
I avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, I would be so stressed.
That one particularly does sound stressful, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about different types of cars and
Yes.
the differences in the cars themselves.
I've just gone on to yougov.co.uk
Okay.
to look up the most popular car models in the UK.
Okay.
So
can we guess?
Yes.
Ready, go on. VWs.
VW Golf.
Yeah, the Golf and the Polo.
wow, the top car model is the VW Golf.
Yep.
Wow.
It's
wow.
the most, if you go driving, you are guaranteed to see a Golf. 100%.
And like every 17-year-old has got like a 200-300 quid shit old Golf.
Or Polo.
And that's like,
usually.
it's
No,
got,
no,
yeah,
no,
or
no,
a
when you-
Polo.
no, if you're 17, it's a
That's a
Polo.
Polo.
If you've got a job, you might have a Golf. But if you get, once you reach like 22, 23, 24, then you're into Golf region.
But people like love hatchbacks in the UK. Like we aren't really into big cars, and I think that's a space thing again.
Yeah. Well, that I wanted to pick up on that. I wanted to pick up on how big your cars are.
Yeah.
Yeah, your cars are massive, and
We've got
that's
some big boys.
and it must be a space thing, like Freddie was alluding to earlier, in that we have considerably less space here, smaller roads, smaller streets.
Americans drive for longer, which is, I think, why radio is bigger in the US.
Plus,
because
and podcasting too.
yeah, because they especially podcasting, because they drive for longer,
Of course.
and they drive more often because everything's spread out.
Bigger cars literally hold more fuel as well. The car that you drive in this country will tend to suggest something about your personality type.
Yep.
So other drivers will judge you based on what car you have.
Yep.
Yeah, like BMW drivers are wankers.
Every time.
Or exactly like
Well,
or,
massive generalization. Apologies to any of my friends who drive a BMW.
So I've opened up an article that's what your car says about your social class. Etiquette expert reveals the hidden meaning behind your wheels, and you don't come off well if you drive an Audi. So
God damn it.
Yeah.
for your first car, VW Polo is generally a smart choice, but
Standard.
you would be a posh student if you had that.
Standard.
Yes?
Yeah.
You know, you get like a Ford car or like a Peugeot 206 if you can't quite get a
Yep.
Polo.
Under brands of cars, an Audi,
Go on, hit me with it.
once driven by polite middle-class couples called Susan and Roger, the moment the TT model was released, the brand in general has taken the mantle that BMWs once had and are generally owned by incredibly bad and boorish drivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seemingly, the minimum speed they can do is 50 miles per hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
I live in the countryside, and where I live, two types of people have a 4x4, a big car.
Yeah.
You have the type that should have a 4x4 / big car, which is like a farmer or someone who needs to go off road often, i.e., the point of you're buying the car for the specific purpose it's been made.
The function.
The function.
Yeah.
The other type of person is the often, but not always, but often the middle class white woman with 2 or 3 kids, maybe actually even one.
Or a dog.
They don't need a big 4x4, but they live in the countryside, so they feel like they need to have one because that's the aesthetic, right? But
Some people will spray mud onto their Range Rovers if they have a Range Rover and live in a city.
yep,
They will buy spray on mud to give the impression that they've gone out to the country for the weekend.
yep,
What?
yep.
There's a massive connotation. I think like what we're talking about here like comes back to even the title of that article.
Yep.
And it's about what cars do about social class within this country. Because social class is such a massive part of our culture. It always has been. And like the disparity between classes. So if you turn up in a Range Rover, then you're making a classist statement in a way.
Yep.
This tea is delish.
Volvos driven by geography teachers and suspect individuals is what this says.
Which is weird because they are like amazing cars. They're either Norwegian or Swedish.
Because it's Swedish, do you have to put it together yourself as well? Do you get it?
Yeah, well, who doesn't?
AJ doesn't.
No, I get it. I'm just like deciding whether to laugh or not.
Which doesn't bode well for how funny that joke was. So saloons, which you call sedans, are like often chauffeur cars.
Middle-aged businessman as well.
Yes. So if you are 40, 50 plus and have done well for yourself, i.e. a middle-aged white man, then you'll have
a shiny blue one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've watched enough British television, which is very few shows, to know that is definitely a thing.
Either black
That's
or
the one car stereotype that I've picked up.
And scene.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being on this podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Love a road, me. Love a road. We've got a lot of stuff with a band called TUCAN coming out at the moment, which is all what we filmed last year.
It's awesome.
We have one more video to come out with them. So check out our page, have a look, give it a share, do all that stuff. And then later this year, we've got lots of really cool things planned with some interesting artists, and we can't wait to get out and film again.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones out. People can go find it at Casa Liverpool.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
On all socials?
Yep.
Is that your YouTube as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
It is the YouTube, I think.
No, the YouTube's just Casa. The YouTube's just Casa. The Twitter is Casa Liverpool, which is not ever updated. Don't bother with that one. But Instagram is Casa Liverpool. Facebook is Casa Liverpool. And YouTube is just Casa.
CASA.
Yep.
AJ, where can people find you?
I'm so glad you asked, Megan, because I probably would have forgotten if you didn't remind me.
I know.
You can find me at AJ, I forgot it.
I forgot my own name.
You can find me at AJ Marks Official on Instagram, on Twitter, and SoundCloud, OnlyFans, YouTube, Facebook. Oh, and I mean, probably like at some point TikTok.
Where can we find you, Megan? Thanks for asking, Megan.
And back to you, Megan.
That was amazing.
So you can find me at I Am Sola Music on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on SoundCloud, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, I'm on all of those streaming platforms.
So, Freddy, which one we going out on?
I was thinking we'd go for a little bit more of a lively number.
Ooh.
We're going to choose another one from the TUCAN's Libre EP. It's called Find It, and was originally written by Gilly's dad. In the 70s, it was somewhere in the 70s, and it was all programmed in, and then Gilly took it to the band, and like all the guys kind of put their own spin on it, and it's personally one of my favourites of the album.
Such a good one.
Hope you guys enjoy it too.
Amazing record.
It's so good.
So this is Find It by TUCAN.
You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. If you're not looking for love tonight, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. If you're gonna looking for love, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. If you're not looking for love tonight.
Speaking of traffic lights, I think it's fascinating that your traffic lights will go from red to red and yellow and then to green. And what's fascinating about it to me as an American who's not used to it, I understand why it's a thing, but it's fascinating that you're like, get ready. Get ready, it's coming.
It's coming.
Whereas Americans are just like, all right, like,
Let's do this shit.
Americans are like, oh fuck, it's green, all right.